The night grew still after the battle. Ash scattered across the street like black snow. Daniel stood with the shard glowing faintly in his hand. His arms trembling, his breath uneven. Cale's body sparked with fading blue light, his wounds deep. But his stance unbroken. For a moment, Daniel thought it was over. Thought they had won. But then the air changed, heavy and sharp. Like the atmosphere itself had teeth. Cale's eyes narrowed, his voice low and grim. "The master comes, Daniel's." Chest tightened. "Master? You mean?" "There's something worse than those things." "Yes," Cale replied, his tone absolute. "Hunters are only hounds. The one who commands them is stronger, older, and if we fall now, Daniel, there is no second chance." Daniel gripped the shard. Tighter, his hands slick with sweat. "Then we fight." Cale turned his head, surprised at the human's words, but gave a faint nod, his lips curling into the smallest trace of pride. Yes, together the streetlights flickered. Then went dark. Shadows stretched across the ground, twisting, merging. From the blackness, a figure rose. Tall, cloaked in moving smoke, its eyes burning crimson, its voice booming inside Daniel's mind. "Little human," it hissed. "You should not be touched by alien hands. You belong to us. Give yourself, and we will spare you pain." Daniel staggered. Clutching his head, the voice pierced through him, sharp as knives. Cale stepped in front of him. His glow brighter now, his voice like a roar. "He is mine, claimed by my vow. You will not take him." The figure laughed, a sound like cracking bones. "You are broken, Cale. Your strength fades. Your claim is weak. When I strike, the boy will fall." Cale braced himself, his body trembling but steady. "Then strike and fall with me." The master surged forward, shadows twisting into blades. Cale met it head-on. The ground split beneath them, light and dark clashing in violent waves. Daniel stumbled back, shielding his face from the storm. He watched in horror as Cale fought, his fists glowing, his body battered again and again. The master's strength was overwhelming. Every strike of Cale's light was swallowed by shadow. Cale fell to one knee, his glow dimming. "Cale," Daniel shouted, running forward. "Get up, you can't stop now." Cale turned his head, his eyes fading. "Daniel, listen, you must run. You must survive, even if I fall. You must live." Daniel shook his head violently, fear and fire mixing in his chest. "No, I won't leave you. I can't." The master's voice filled the street. "He will fall, and when he does, you will kneel, human. You cannot fight me. You are nothing." Daniel's hands trembled, the shard pulsed. His mind flashed with memories of the whispers, the hunters, the ash, Cale, standing tall in front of him, again and again. Protecting him when no one else could. Something deep inside snapped, not with fear, but with resolve. Daniel gritted his teeth. "I am not nothing." The shard blazed in his hand, brighter than ever. Cale's eyes widened as Daniel stepped forward, his small frame facing the towering master. "You want me?" Daniel shouted, his voice shaking but loud. "Then you'll fight me too." The master laughed. Shadows swirling, brave words from fragile flesh. Daniel closed his eyes, clutching the shard with both hands. He thought of fire, of light, of survival. He thought of Cale's vow, and then he thought of making his own. The shard exploded with energy, surrounding Daniel in a blazing shield. The air rippled, the ground cracked beneath him. Cale staggered to his feet, his eyes glowing, brighter as if Daniel's strength fueled him. "Daniel," Cale whispered, awe in his voice. "You claimed yourself." The master shrieked, striking with shadow blades. Daniel raised the shard, the barrier flared. The strike shattered. Cale roared, lunging beside him, their powers colliding as one. Light and shadow tore through the street, buildings cracked. Glass shattered. The master stumbled back. Its form flickering, Kale and Daniel pressed forward together. Step by step. You will not take him, Kale growled. He is not prey. Daniel shouted, he's my ally, and I claim him too. The shard pulsed one last time, unleashing a wave of pure energy. Kale added his power to it. The combined force slammed into the master, tearing through shadow. The crimson eyes faded. The figure screamed and then dissolved into smoke and silence. The street fell quiet. Only the sound of Daniel's heavy breathing and Kale's labored steps remained. Daniel dropped to his knees, the shard dim in his hand. Kale staggered but stood tall, his eyes fixed on the horizon. This is not the end, Daniel. More will come. Stronger, darker. But now, you are not just claimed. You are a claimant too. Daniel looked up at him, exhausted but burning with new strength. Then let them come, because I'm not running anymore. Kale gave a slow nod, his glowing eyes softening with respect. Good. Human, from this night on, we face them together. The broken street was silent, but far above. Stars shimmered faintly, as if waiting. Watching, Daniel knew his old life was gone. But something greater had begun, and though fear still lived inside him, so did fire. And somewhere in the shadows beyond the city, more red eyes opened, watching, waiting for their turn, the war for his life. For humanity itself had only just begun. The night air burned with smoke and energy. The street was littered with broken glass and flickering lights. Oh. Daniel crouched low behind the rusted car, his chest heaving. Kale stood in the middle of the road, glowing brighter with every breath, his wounds sparking faint blue light. The hunters circled them, red eyes gleaming in the dark. Claws scraping against the ground, they hissed in unison, their movements sharp and inhuman. Daniel's mind screamed at him to run, but his body would not move. Every exit was blocked. The shadows were alive. The only thing between him and death was Kale. Kale turned his head slightly, his voice steady even as the hunters closed in. Daniel, listen to me. If we fight separately, you die. If we fight together, we live. Daniel's throat tightened. Fight together. I don't know how to fight. I've never even been in a fistfight at school. Kale raised one hand, energy crackling in his palm. You adapt. Your kind always adapts. That is why you are dangerous to them. Take this. From his palm, a small device formed, glowing silver. It looked like a smooth stone with faint lines carved across it. Kale tossed it to Daniel, who nearly dropped it in shock. What is this? Daniel whispered, staring at this strange object in his hands. A shard. Kale answered. Part of my energy, bound to you now. Focus on it. Think of defense. Think of survival. And it will respond. Daniel's hands shook. You're insane. This is insane. I can't. The hunters shrieked and leaped forward. Kale roared and slammed one to the ground. Claws raked against his arm, sparks flying. Now, Daniel. Kale shouted, use it or we both die. Daniel clutched the shard, closing his eyes, his heart pounding. He thought of the claws tearing into him, the whispers in his head, the ash on the floor of his apartment. He thought of not wanting to die. Not tonight. Not like this. The shard grew hot. His hand burned. Then a sudden pulse shot out. A faint blue shield flickered around him just as a hunter lunged. Claws scraped against the barrier and slid off. Daniel gasped, eyes wide. It worked. He whispered. Kale's voice cut through the chaos. Good. Now do not stop. They will test you. Hold it firm. Daniel pressed himself to his knees, holding the shard with both hands. The shield glowed stronger. One hunter slammed against it, then another. Daniel groaned as pressure built. But the barrier held. Kale fought like a storm, his fists glowing, his kicks breaking pavement, every strike sending a hunter flying. But there were too many. His body slowed, his wounds deepening. Daniel saw it. Panic rising. Kale. You're hurt. Kale gritted his teeth, slamming another beast into the ground. Pain is nothing, but I cannot do this alone, Daniel. Strike them. The shard will obey you. If you command it. Daniel's chest heaved. He stared at the glowing stone. Strike them. How? Think of power, Kale growled. Focus your fear, your will, your need to survive. The shard will become what you imagine. Daniel clenched his jaw. Closing his eyes, he imagined fire. He imagined pushing the monsters back. He imagined them burning into nothing. The shard pulsed, then erupted. A burst of flame-like energy shot forward, blasting one hunter into ash. Daniel staggered backward, eyes wide. I did that. Kale gave a sharp smile, even as blood dripped from his wounds. Yes, now again, do not hesitate. Hesitation kills. The hunters hissed, their red eyes flickering with anger. Two lunged at once. Daniel shouted, thrusting the shard forward. Energy flared. A wave of force knocked them away, slamming them into the wall with bone-cracking sound. Adrenaline surged through him. Fear mixed with fire. For the first time, Daniel was not only hiding, he was fighting. But the hunters did not stop. More shadows crept from the alley. Kale staggered but stood tall. They will keep coming, but together we can break them. Daniel, this is the truth of my claim. Not prison, alliance. Daniel nodded, gripping the shard tighter. Then let's end this. The battle stretched into chaos. Kale and Daniel back to back. Kale's strikes glowing like thunder. Daniel's shard blasting waves of raw energy. Together, they forced the hunters to retreat step by step, their hisses turning into shrieks of pain. Finally, the last one fell into ash. Silence returning to the street. Daniel dropped to his knees, the shard dimming in his hand, his body shaking. From exhaustion, Kale stood over him, breathing heavy, his glow fading, but his eyes proud. You see now, Daniel, we are stronger together. Your kind was never meant to fight alone. Alliance is survival. Daniel stared at the ash scattered across the ground, his chest rising and falling. He whispered, I didn't want this, but now I can't stop. Can I? Kale extended a hand, pulling him up. No, you cannot. The hunters will not rest, and neither will we. But you have taken the first step. You claimed yourself tonight, and that changes everything. Daniel looked at Kale, the shard glowing faintly in his hand. Fear still burned in him, but something else stirred too, something deeper, maybe for the first time. He believed he could fight back. The apartment reeked of smoke and ash. The broken door hung crooked on its frame. Daniel's legs felt weak, as if they no longer belonged to him. Kale stood in the center of the room, his body glowing faintly, his shoulder still sparking wear. The hunter's claw had cut him. We cannot stay, Kale said firmly. The others will follow the scent, more powerful than this one. If we remain, they will break through, and you will not survive. Daniel's throat tightened. Leave. Go where? This is my home. Not anymore, Kale replied, his eyes narrowing. From this moment forward, nowhere is safe. Only distance and movement can buy time. Daniel wanted to argue, wanted to cling to the little piece of normal life he had left, but the ash on the floor and the whispering voice still echoing in his skull told him Kale was right. He grabbed his bag with shaky hands, stuffing in clothes, his wallet, and nothing else. Kale moved to the window, scanning the night sky, his glowing eyes sharp as blades. They spread fast, shadows in every corner. We must leave through paths. Unseen before Daniel could ask what that meant, Kale raised his hand, and the wall shimmered like water. With a single step, he opened a hole that looked into a dark alley outside. Daniel gasped. That's impossible. Not impossible, Cale corrected. Necessary. He stepped through, his tall frame blending with the shadows. Daniel hesitated at the threshold, his chest heaving, every instinct screaming, "Don't go," but the ruined apartment behind him screamed louder. He clenched his jaw and followed. The alley smelled of damp concrete and old trash. But it was empty. The city's usual noise seemed distant, muffled, as if Cale had bent reality around them. "Stay close," Cale warned. "If you drift, they will see you." Daniel swallowed and nodded, his feet stumbling as they walked quickly. Through the dark, every sound felt magnified. Every flicker of shadow looked alive. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Daniel lost track. All he knew was the pounding in his chest and the tall, glowing figure leading him deeper into the maze of the city. Finally, Daniel found his voice. "Cale, I need answers. I can't just follow you without knowing why this is happening." "Why me? Why humans?" Cale slowed, his gaze turning toward the sky, where stars barely pierced the smog. "The hunters are not mindless beasts, they serve masters. Masters who know what your kind once was." Daniel frowned, his voice shaky. "Once was. You keep talking about the past, like humans did something important out there." Cale nodded slowly. "Long before your people forgot the stars, they traveled them. They fought in wars greater than you can imagine. They stood against empires. With nothing but courage and fire, many feared humans because you adapt, you rise where others fall. You turn weakness into strength, that is your gift. And that is why you are hunted." Daniel's mind reeled. "You're saying humans were space warriors? That we used to be part of all this?" "Yes," Cale said firmly. "Your blood carries memory even if your mind does not. And some still remember what happens when humans awaken." The alley suddenly split into two paths. Cale stopped, tilting his head as if listening to something only he could hear. His eyes flickered brighter. "They are close," he whispered. "We run now." Before Daniel could react, Cale grabbed his wrist and pulled him down the left path. His speed almost inhuman. Daniel stumbled, barely keeping. Up behind them came the sound of claws scraping concrete. Shrieks echoing off the walls. Daniel's heart raced, fear clawing at his throat. He dared a glance back. Shadows twisted in pursuit, red eyes glowing like burning coals in the dark. "They're gaining," Daniel gasped, his lungs burning. "Do not look back," Cale commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Trust my path, trust my claim." They burst out of the alley into an abandoned street. Streetlights flickered weakly. The hunters poured out behind them. Cale stopped suddenly, raising both hands. A wall of blue light erupted across the street, blocking the creatures for a moment. The hunters slammed into it, hissing, their claws sparking against the barrier. Cale gritted his teeth, holding it in place. "Daniel," he said sharply, "listen to me now. You must understand, they are not after all humans. They are after you specifically." Daniel froze, his chest heaving. "Me? Why me?" "I'm nobody." Cale's voice was grave. "Not nobody. You carry a signal, a mark. Something ancient stirs within you. They sense it, they fear it. That is why they hunt." Daniel's stomach dropped, his mind spinning. "You're saying I have something inside me," Cale said, his eyes glowing like fire. "And if they take you, they will use it to end countless lives. But if you awaken it, if you claim yourself, you could turn the tide." The wall of light cracked. Cale staggered, sweat dripping from his brow. The hunters shrieked louder. Daniel shook his head. "Awaken? Claim myself? I don't even know what that means." "You will," Cale growled, his voice strained. "But first you must survive this night." The barrier shattered. Hunters surged forward. Kale roared. Unleashing another blast of light, the street erupted. In chaos, Daniel ducked behind a rusted car, his heart hammering. He wanted to run, to hide. But Kale's words echoed in his mind. You carry something ancient. You could turn the tide, and for the first time, Daniel wondered if maybe he was not as ordinary as he believed. Maybe Kale had chosen him for a reason after all, but the hunters were closing in. Their red eyes multiplying in the shadows, and Daniel realized the night was far from over. It was only just beginning. The apartment was no longer quiet. The night air outside buzzed with strange tension. Daniel could almost feel invisible eyes pressing against the windows. Kale stood tall in the middle of the room, every line of his body tight like a coiled spring. Daniel clutched the edge of his blanket. You said they'd come back, didn't you? He whispered. Kale nodded once. Yes, hunters never give up. They follow scent, memory, and signal. They have found you. They will test my claim. Daniel's stomach turned. Test it. What does that mean? It means, Kale replied, his voice sharp as steel, that they will try to take you by force. Before Daniel could react, a low thud shook the wall, then another. Like heavy fists slamming from outside, the window rattled. A faint hiss echoed. Daniel's blood ran cold. They're here, he muttered, his voice cracking. Kale raised one hand. Glowing lines spreading across his skin like lightning veins. Stay behind me, Daniel, no matter what. Daniel stumbled backward until his knees hit the bed. Fear pounded through him, yet a small part of him refused to look away. He wanted to know what Kale would do. He wanted to see if this alien could truly protect him. The window bent inward with a screech, glass cracking under invisible pressure. Kale moved fast, planting his hand against the air itself. A shimmer spread like ripples across water. The window froze. The cracks glowing faint blue instead of shattering. A sharp sound followed. A shriek so high it stabbed Daniel's ears. He covered them and groaned, but Kale did not flinch. They test the shield, Kale said calmly. They are impatient. The next second, shadows slipped under the door, black and twisting, like smoke with claws. Daniel gasped. They're inside. Kale's eyes flared bright. He swung his arm, and the shadows scattered like burned paper, leaving scorch marks across the floor. Daniel's jaw dropped. What the hell are those things? Fragments, Kale said. Scouts made of broken flesh and ash. The hunters send them first. If they fail, the masters come. Daniel's skin crawled. He pressed back against the wall, wishing this nightmare would end. But then something worse happened. A voice whispered inside his head, not his ears, but his mind. Little human, we see you. You are weak. You belong to us. Daniel's eyes went wide. He clutched his skull. Do you hear that? Kale, do you hear that? Kale's expression hardened. Yes, they speak to weaken you, to make you doubt me. Resist them? The whisper grew louder, colder. Your protector lies. He only wants you for himself. Give in to us, and we will make the pain end. Daniel shook his head violently. No, no, get out of my head. Kale stepped closer, placing one glowing hand on Daniel's shoulder. The heat burned but also cleared the fog. Do not listen, Daniel. They twist truth. They will break you if you let them. Stay with me. Daniel sucked in sharp breaths, his chest heaving, and slowly the whispers began to fade. Kale's hands steadying him. Then the door handle rattled, slowly at first, then violently, as if someone or something was trying to rip it off. Kale pushed Daniel behind him and growled, a deep sound that did not belong to any human throat. The door burst open, wood splintering, and for the first time, Daniel saw one of the hunters in full. It was tall, taller than Kale. its skin slick black like oil, eyes red and glowing like burning coal, its limbs stretched too long, fingers ending in hooked claws. When it moved, it made no sound, only the hiss of air escaping Daniel's knees. Weakened terror flooding every vein, but Cale did not hesitate. His arm snapped forward, releasing a burst of blue fire that slammed into the creature's chest. The room shook, the wall cracked, yet the hunter only staggered back. Smoke rising from the burn. "It's not enough," Cale muttered, his tone grim. The hunter lunged. Claws slicing through the air, Cale caught one arm. The sound of impact like metal on stone. Sparks flew where they touched. Cale snarled and twisted, forcing the beast back. Daniel pressed against the corner, watching helplessly, his heart beating faster than ever before. He wanted to run, but his body refused. The hunter lashed out again, another claw strike aimed not at Cale but at Daniel. Daniel froze, his body too slow to react. Cale roared, throwing himself between them. The claw raked across his shoulder, blue sparks spraying like blood and lightning mixed. Cale gritted his teeth, shoving the hunter back with one brutal kick. The beast slammed into the wall, leaving cracks like spiderwebs. Daniel's voice cracked. "You're hurt." Cale shook his head. "Wounds mean nothing. Stay back." The hunter hissed, smoke rising from its body as it prepared another strike. Cale's hands glowed brighter, energy pulsing in waves. He planted himself like an unmovable wall. "Listen to me, Daniel," Cale said, without looking away from the creature. "You must understand now, this is why I claimed you. Without me, you would already be gone." Daniel's throat closed. He wanted to deny it, to shout that none of this was real, but the truth was right in front of him. The monster, the glowing shield, the clash of alien power, there was no denying anymore. Cale leaped forward, driving his glowing fist straight into the hunter's chest. The light exploded, filling the room with searing heat. Daniel shielded his eyes when the glow faded. The hunter was gone. Only black ash remained on the floor. Cale staggered slightly, his breathing heavy, but he did not fall. He turned slowly to Daniel, his eyes still glowing faint, but softer now. "They will send more," Cale said, voice calm, though his body shook. This was only the first. Daniel stared at the ash, his heart hammering. He whispered one word. "Why me?" Cale's answer came steady. "Because humans change everything, and they fear what you might become." The room fell silent, broken door hanging loose. Ash scattered across the floor. Daniel realized his life had ended the moment Cale walked into it. Nothing would ever be normal again. The scratching at the window faded after what felt like hours, though in truth it had only been minutes. Daniel lay frozen under his blanket, his breath trapped in his throat. He dared not move until the alien finally lowered his glowing hands. "They are gone for now," the alien said, voice low and steady. "But they will return. They always return." Daniel pushed himself up slowly, his legs trembling. "What were those things?" he whispered. The alien studied him for a moment before answering. "Hunters. Not of this world. They seek what does not belong to them. They seek you." Daniel felt ice in his stomach. "Me? Why me? I'm just some guy trying to get through college." The alien's eyes narrowed, glowing faint blue. "To you, perhaps you are just a student. But to them, you are rare. Humans are not common across the stars. Some aliens see your kind as prey, others as slaves. A few see you as partners, but always you are valuable." Daniel rubbed his forehead, his brain trying to process the words. "You're telling me that humans are rare? Out there, in the universe?" "Yes," the alien replied calmly. "Your species is scattered. Few worlds hold your blood, and those who find you wish to claim you. That is why I did it first." Daniel leaned back, still shaken. Claim. You keep saying that word like it means something serious, but what does it actually mean? The alien stood taller, his voice like stone. In my culture, to claim is sacred. It means to bind responsibility, to guard, to fight, to ensure survival of the one claimed. It is not ownership in the way you imagine. It is a shield, a promise. Daniel blinked. Part of him wanted to laugh at the absurdity, but the memory of claws at the window silenced him. He thought of those glowing eyes watching over him. The way the door locked on its own, the way the hunters outside gave up only when the alien stood ready. Maybe there was truth here. Still, he could not resist asking. So what do you get out of it? Why bother protecting me at all? What's in it for you? The alien's gaze shifted toward the ceiling, as if the stars above were calling to him. To claim is also to gain honor. In my world, protecting a human means strength. It means respect. You are fragile, but you are important. Your kind once changed entire wars across the stars. Many forget, but we remember. Daniel's eyes widened. Wait. You're saying humans fought in space wars? That sounds like crazy sci-fi stuff. The alien tilted his head, almost amused. To you, it is fiction. To me, it is history. Your ancestors were not weak. They stood against empires that thought themselves unbreakable. They did not always win, but they were never erased. Daniel felt a strange rush of pride and confusion, like hearing a story about distant family he never knew he had. So, you're saying humanity is tougher than we think? Yes, the alien said firmly. But you are also unprepared now. You have forgotten what you were that makes you pray until you remember. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, staring. At the floor, the words sank into him like heavy stones. Prey, valuable, claimed. History of battles among the stars. It all sounded impossible, yet the events of the night made it hard to deny. Okay, Daniel said at last, voice shaky. Let's say I believe you. What now? What happens next? The alien stepped closer, the floor creaking under his weight. Now, you learn. You must understand why they come. You must understand how to survive. Daniel looked up sharply. Wait, survive? You make it sound like I'm already in some war. You are, the alien replied without hesitation, the moment they found you. The moment I claimed you, you entered a war you cannot see yet, but it surrounds you. Daniel's chest tightened. His hands shook. But I didn't ask for this. No one asks, the alien said, voice steady. But survival is not about asking. It is about enduring. For a long while, silence filled the room. Daniel sat and thought while the alien stood watch. The city outside seemed distant, almost unreal compared to the truths spilling into the apartment. At last, Daniel asked quietly, "What are you called?" "I mean, your name? I can't just call you." Alien, the being's lips curved slightly. "I am called Kale, son of Ver, protector of the bound." "But for you, Kale is enough." Daniel repeated it softly. Kale. The name felt strange but solid on his tongue. Kale nodded, his glowing eyes softening for the first time. "And you? Human? What are you called?" "Daniel," he said, voice uncertain. "Just Daniel." "Daniel," Kale repeated, testing the word. "Your name is simple, but strong. It will do." Daniel almost laughed, though the situation was far from funny. "Thanks, I guess. But..." Before he could say more, the light above flickered. A strange static filled the air. Kale's eyes sharpened, his body stiffened. "They are searching again," Kale said darkly. "They will not stop. They never stop. Until you are taken or destroyed." Daniel's blood ran cold. The safety of his small apartment was gone. His life as he knew it was slipping away, and deep inside, though he hated to admit it, a part of him began to wonder if maybe Kale was right. Maybe being claimed was the only thing keeping him alive. It was supposed to be an ordinary evening for Daniel. He was a college student, tired from classes, and excited to finally move into his new apartment. The hallway smelled of old paint and dust. His suitcase rolled behind him, and he kept thinking about how good it would feel to have a quiet space. A place of his own. He reached the door, fumbled with the keys, and pushed it open. But the room was not empty. Someone, or rather something, was already inside. At first, Daniel thought it was a tall man. The figure stood near the window, motionless. His shadow stretched long across the floor, but as Daniel's eyes adjusted, he realized this was no man at all. The skin shimmered faintly, like metal mixed with stone. Eyes glowed a deep blue, and there were faint ridges running down the arms. As if carved by fire, Daniel froze in the doorway. His breath caught. His brain raced for an explanation. Was this a prank? A costume? A dream? He dropped his bag and whispered, "Who? Who are you?" The alien turned, every movement sharp and deliberate. He spoke in clear English, but with a strange rhythm. "You are mine now," he said calmly, claimed. Daniel's heart slammed against his chest. He stared, unsure if he should laugh or run. What kind of introduction was that? "Excuse me?" Daniel managed to say, his voice shaking. The alien stepped forward, not aggressive, but steady. "From this moment, you are under my protection. You belong to me, whether you agree or not." The words hung in the air like thunder. Daniel took a step back. His hand searched for the light switch, even though the room was already lit. He wanted something normal, something human, but nothing about this felt normal. The alien tilted his head, studying Daniel the way a scientist might study a rare discovery. "Do not fear, human. My claim does not harm you. It keeps you alive." Daniel's throat was dry. "Alive? From what?" he asked. The alien's eyes narrowed, glowing brighter from them. He said simply. Before Daniel could ask who them meant, the alien walked past him with silent grace. He closed the door with one long hand and locked it without even touching the knobs. Something invisible clicked into place. Daniel swallowed hard. The silence pressed against him. Every instinct screamed danger, yet his curiosity rooted him to the spot. This was not the first night he expected, not the roommate. He imagined he had wanted a quiet life, maybe some video games, maybe cheap pizza and Netflix. Instead, he was standing face to face with a being who claimed ownership of him. The alien finally sat down on the edge of the bed. The frame creaked under his weight. "Your world is not safe," he said. "Others will come, and they will not ask. They will take. That is why I claimed you first." Daniel blinked, trying to find logic. "So you're saying you're protecting me by owning me?" The alien's lips curved into something that almost looked like a smile. "Yes, protection comes with possession. Claim brings responsibility. Without it, you would already be marked as prey." Daniel felt a chill crawl down his spine. His voice dropped to a whisper, "Prey. To who?" The alien did not answer. He only leaned back, eyes never leaving Daniel, as if waiting for something. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, but Daniel barely noticed. His thoughts were tangled. Fear and disbelief mixed with a strange, dangerous curiosity. This was insane. Yet the glowing eyes in front of him were very real. The heavy air was real. The lock that sealed itself was real. He wanted to grab his bag and run, but something deeper told him he could not. He was already caught in a web he did not understand. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt that his story had shifted. He was no longer just a student moving into a small apartment. He was something more. Or perhaps something trapped, claimed by a roommate who was not human. And as the alien closed his eyes for the first time, Daniel realized he had entered a story that was far bigger than he could ever imagine, and it had only just begun. Daniel could not believe what had just happened. His new roommate was not only alien, but had claimed him like some sort of property. His head spun. He wanted to scream. He wanted to laugh. But instead, he just stood there frozen. The alien did not move. He sat calmly on the bed, his glowing eyes half closed, as if this situation was completely normal. Daniel swallowed hard and thought, maybe if I just act normal, this will all make. Since later, he tried to unpack his bag, his hands trembling as he pulled out clothes, a toothbrush, and a notebook. He placed them on the desk, pretending everything was fine. But he could feel those strange eyes watching him, not threatening. Exactly, but heavy, like the gaze of a predator who already decided not to strike. Do you always stare like that? Daniel muttered under his breath, his voice low. Yes, the alien replied instantly. His tone flat. I must observe. I must learn you. Daniel flinched. Learn me? You mean? Study me. Yes. Claimed means responsibility. Your safety. Depends on me knowing your habits, your fears, your weaknesses. Daniel set his toothbrush down slowly, his throat dry. That's creepy, you know? The alien tilted his head, confused by the word creepy. No, necessary. The silence after that felt thick. Daniel finally crawled onto his bed on the opposite side of the room. He pulled the blanket up to his chin, but he could not relax. The alien was still awake, still watching. Minutes passed like hours. The only sound was the faint hum of the city outside, and Daniel's nervous breathing. Then came something stranger. The alien pulled out a small container. Inside was food, if it could even be called that. Slimy pieces that glowed faint green. They squirmed slightly like living jelly. Daniel gagged just looking at it. You eat that? Daniel asked, voice trembling. Yes, the alien answered simply. It sustains me. It also heals. Daniel turned away, squeezing his eyes shut. Great, he thought. Not only is my roommate an alien, he also eats glowing worms. He tried to distract himself with his phone. He tapped open a chat app to message his friend Mark, but as soon as he started typing, screen flickered, the text scrambled. Then the phone went black. What the hell? Daniel whispered, tapping the screen again and again. It will not work. The alien said without even looking at him, your devices fail in my presence. Energy interference. Daniel sat up straight, so I can't even call anyone. I can't tell anyone about this. The alien finally turned his head, eyes glowing sharper now. You must not tell. Outsiders will not understand if you speak. You risk more than your life. That warning sent a cold shiver down Daniel's spine. He hugged his blanket tighter. So I'm trapped with you, is that it? Not trapped, the alien corrected, protected. Daniel almost laughed, but stopped himself. Nothing about this felt like protection. It felt like prison. But his gut told him arguing more would be pointless. The night dragged on. Daniel tossed and turned, but his roommate never seemed to sleep. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the floor now, eyes closed, humming low sounds that vibrated through the air. Strange patterns of light flickered across his skin with every note. Daniel tried covering his ears with the blanket, but the hum seemed to pass through fabric and bone. Not painful, just unsettling, like the sound of deep water pressing against a diver's chest. Finally, after what felt like forever, Daniel whispered, "Do you ever sleep?" The alien opened one eye, not as you do. I enter silence, half awake, half dreaming. It is enough. Daniel turned his face into the pillow, frustration boiling. How am I supposed to live with this? But then, something unexpected happened. A noise outside, soft scratching at the window. Daniel froze, his eyes darting toward the sound. It was faint at first, but then sharper, like claws against glass. Did you hear that? Daniel whispered, panic in his voice. The alien's eyes snapped open. Glowing brighter than before, he rose slowly, every movement sharp and controlled. Yes, he said, do not move. Daniel's heart pounded. He gripped the blanket until his knuckles turned white. The scratching grew louder. Then a shadow passed across the thin curtains, tall and bent. Daniel's throat tightened. What is that? Daniel whispered, his voice cracking. The alien stood between Daniel and the window. His shoulders wide, body tense. They have found us sooner than expected. Daniel's blood ran cold. They, you mean? The ones you warned me about? The alien said, his voice firm, stay quiet, stay still, and no matter what happens. Do not open the window. Daniel's breath came in short bursts. Sweat trickled down his forehead. The scratching turned into a thudding. Heavy and insistent, as if something desperate wanted in. The alien's hands glowed faintly now, energy gathering. His whole body seemed to hum like a machine preparing for war. Daniel buried his face in the pillow, praying this was a nightmare. Praying he would wake up, but deep inside he knew this was real, and it was only the first night.